Do you realize that you can take care of everyone except yourself? That taking a shower, organizing the house, or booking a doctor's appointment feels like a monumental task? Even though it used to be simple, you know you need to take care of yourself, but something blocks you. It's as if there's a voice inside you saying you don't deserve rest, affection, or to be a priority. What if this difficulty isn't laziness, but a direct consequence of what you went through? Hello, my name is Lauren Mitchell. If this video resonates with you, I invite you to subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. Also, check out the link in the description to see my ebook. No single video or random explanation compares to this material. Here, for the first time, you'll find a complete, organized, and welcoming guide. During a narcissistic relationship, something very subtle happens. You start by giving up small things. Then you give up your opinions. Then your desires. Before you know it, you've given up yourself. At first, it feels like adaptation. You think, relationships require adjustments. So you start choosing the restaurant he likes. You watch the show he prefers. You avoid topics that irritate him. Bit by bit, you stop asking, what do I want? And you start asking only, what will avoid a conflict? What do you feel during this phase? Confusion, exhaustion, a sense that you're always doing something wrong without knowing exactly what. Meanwhile, what is the narcissistic person thinking? They are thinking about control, not necessarily in a conscious way all the time, but there is a deep need to be the center of attention. Everything must revolve around them, their emotions, their needs, their frustrations. The psychological mechanism behind this is called identity erosion. It doesn't happen all at once. It happens in daily micro situations, small criticisms, small invalidations, small punitive silences. You say you were sad about something. He says you're exaggerating. You express exhaustion. He says you complain too much. You show insecurity. He says it's just drama. Over time, you learn that feeling is dangerous, that expressing yourself is risky, that existing exactly as you are causes tension. So you start to mold yourself. And here is the central point. When you spend months or years molding yourself to emotionally survive, your brain learns that your needs are secondary. After the relationship ends, your identity doesn't automatically come back. You wake up and ask, what do I even like? You look at your closet and don't recognize your own choices. You try to take care of yourself, but you don't even know where to start. Self-care requires an internal connection. It requires knowing what you need. But if you've spent so much time disconnected from yourself, taking care of yourself feels like taking care of a stranger. It's not a lack of strength. It's a lack of reunion. There is something even deeper. You didn't just disconnect from yourself. You were trained to feel guilty when you think about yourself. Every time you tried to set a boundary, an accusation followed. You're being selfish. You only think about yourself. Nothing is ever good enough for you. With constant repetition, the brain learns a dangerous association. Prioritizing yourself creates a risk of rejection. What do you feel? Immediate anxiety when you try to say no. A tightness in your chest when you decide to rest. A strange feeling that you're doing something wrong by simply respecting yourself. Meanwhile, the narcissistic person interprets a boundary as a threat. A boundary means a loss of control. It means you are starting to move out of their emotional orbit. So the reaction comes with criticism, guilt, or victimization. The psychological mechanism involves emotional conditioning. Every time you prioritize yourself, emotional punishment arises. It could be a cold silence. It could be irony. It could be an explosion. Your brain learns fast. To avoid pain, you anticipate it. You abandon your own needs even before a conflict happens. This becomes an automatic pattern. Even after the breakup, the conditioning remains active. You decide to do something for yourself, the gym, therapy, going to bed earlier, and an internal voice arises. You should be handling something else. You haven't done enough. There are people who need it more than you. This voice was installed little by little. Self-care requires internal permission. But if you were conditioned to believe that taking care of yourself is selfish, every act of self-love triggers deep guilt. It has nothing to do with weakness. It has to do with reprogramming an emotional system trained to survive by people-pleasing. There is another invisible point. During the relationship, you were placed in a position of constant evaluation. Your mood depended on his mood. Your value depended on his approval. When he praised you, you breathed a sigh of relief. When he criticized you, you fell apart. What did you feel? Constant anxiety, the feeling of being watched, fear of messing up the smallest details. Meanwhile, the narcissistic person needed admiration to sustain a fragile self-image, so they alternated between validation and devaluation. Small doses of affection mixed with criticism. The psychological mechanism is called intermittent reinforcement. When a reward comes unpredictably, the brain releases more dopamine. You begin to seek approval with even greater intensity. It's the same mechanism used in gambling. You never know when the win will come. So, you keep trying. Over time, you learn that personal value depends on the eyes of the other. After the breakup, even without him present, you continue to seek validation. You post something and wait for a reaction. You make a decision and feel the need to confirm it with everyone. You doubt your own perception. Self-care requires emotional autonomy. But if the brain was trained to depend on external approval, being alone with your own decisions generates massive insecurity. You try to create a new routine. Soon you think, am I doing this right? Would he think this is ridiculous? He isn't there anymore. But his voice still echoes. Until validation is internalized, you will continue waiting for permission to bloom. Now comes the part that almost no one explains. Your body was also affected. A narcissistic relationship isn't just emotional wear and tear. It's chronic stress. It's constant tension. It's daily unpredictability. You never knew which version of him you would find. The affectionate version or the cold version. The seductive version or the cruel version. What did you feel? Hypervigilance, a racing heart, the feeling of always being on high alert. Meanwhile, the narcissistic person alternated behaviors based on their need for control or validation. For them, the change was a strategy. For you, it was an invisible threat. The psychological mechanism involves the constant activation of the survival system. When the body stays on alert for too long, it prioritizes protection, not growth. Self-care requires energy. It requires planning. It requires the capacity to feel pleasure. But a brain, in survival mode, thinks differently. It only wants to avoid danger. Because of this, after the breakup, you may feel profound exhaustion, difficulty starting simple tasks, the feeling that everything requires disproportionate effort. It's not laziness. It's your body trying to regulate itself after a long period of tension. Imagine a person who spent months running from an invisible threat. When the threat disappears, the body collapses. You might feel intense sadness, you might feel apathy, you might feel empty, and you still judge yourself for it. But the truth is that self-care begins when internal safety starts to be rebuilt. As long as the body doesn't feel safe, it won't invest energy in expansion. It invests energy in protection. You aren't broken. You are in a process of neuro-emotional recovery. Perhaps the difficulty of taking care of yourself isn't a sign of weakness. Perhaps it's proof of how much you had to endure to survive. Self-care now shouldn't be a demand. It should be a gentle reconnection. Small gestures that tell your body and your mind you are safe. And when safety returns, taking care of yourself will stop being a burden. It will become a homecoming. Feel free to leave your story, vent a bit, or even suggest a topic for the next video in the comments. Click the link in the video description to check out my ebook and support our content by becoming a channel member. Click on the suggested video on the screen to stay with me, and remember, you are light. Never forget to shine.